Oh yeah. Yeah.
Can't believe she said that.
And then the next person I want to invite up is Elisa Steele. She's the CEO of Jive Software, and like my very best friend.
Good morning. Can I sit here?
Yeah, sure. Sit.
I'm scared to sit next to the badass, so I sit next to sweet Katie.
Okay. And then Jennifer Hartsock, who's the CIO with Cameron, and working on the integration team with Lumberjack. Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming. Look, see, you just have to lean in a little bit. Lean in right. Look, see, we're online.
Oh,
hey, everybody. Woo, okay. Listen, thank you for coming. We're going to get started, but first I want to thank everybody. So today we are 1 year old.
Yay.
Awesome. I cannot believe that a year ago I was sitting in my office at my house wondering if anyone was ever going to come to the website and sign up, so that was kind of cool. And today is International Women's Day, which is really important because all around the world, women are celebrating, men and women are celebrating women and the gender agenda. And I'm very proud to say that we have a big force in getting a voice for women's energy in that conversation. In the last year, we've been interviewed by Fortune magazine. We've had our members talk to a number of the mainstream media, which is, as you know, unheard of because we don't talk to the media, right? But we're very, very proud to have established this community, and this community is growing, and it's a resource for women during this very difficult time that we're having in the energy market. So if you haven't checked it out, if you're not a member, we would love for you to join. Petro.com, check it out, and we'd love to have you there. Last week, we had an amazing event. We had over 2,000 people connected online. We were at Halliburton's headquarters here in Houston and had a full day of great speakers and conversation. We had women and men all over the world connecting in at Her World, and you can actually check out Her World online. We've got all of the video and all of the recap up on our website, so check that out as well. And before I forget, we are launching a study with KCA. Where's my friends with KCA? KCA and GlexNet. David Skinner is a dear friend and mentor of mine. He's a very successful, badass entrepreneur. And we are, there you go, that's right. And we've launched something called Oil 2021, which is a study, a landmark study into the future of this business and the talent pool and where we're going. And I hope you will participate in that. If you go to our website, you can click it and click on the oil study and get on the list so you can be a part of the conversation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves really quick.
Sure. I'm Samina Fareed, and I've been in the oil and gas industry since the 70s, so I've been around for a long time, and that's all I know is energy and in technology. And I started a company called Merrick Systems about 25 years ago, and actually just sold it a little over a year ago, and still participate with a company called Petro Energy Solutions that acquired my company, Merrick. And I think I'll pass it along. We'll talk more later.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elisa Steele, and I'm CEO of Jive Software, based out of California, but we're global, so I find myself doing things like this a lot. And I've been in the Bay Area and the Silicon Valley for quite a long time now, although I was originally from the East Coast and from Boston. And I've worked around technology all my career at different companies, many of them you might know, Yahoo, Skype, Microsoft, in different capacities, typically in a go-to-market leadership position, whether it's marketing or sales. And I'm thrilled to be at Jive because Jive and what we provide is really everything I believe in around leadership and people and how you actually make better connections to get your goals accomplished. And so I was a customer of Jive's early on in my career, and very ironic, just recently, over the last couple of years, joined Jive and has become kind of part of my life because of my love for the product and my love for what it can accomplish for customers. So thanks to Katie and the whole team for having us here today, and I look forward to our chat.
So good morning, I'm Jennifer Hartsock, the CIO and Vice President at Cameron International. Joined oil and gas about a year ago, so transferred down here from the central Illinois area where I spent 17 years in construction at Caterpillar. So always in IT and always what I would say, generally speaking, male-dominated industries. So I'm really looking forward to our chat today as well.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna pitch a few questions, and then we're gonna open it up to you guys to ask questions. So we're gonna talk a lot today about technology, the digital piece, and particularly around energy, because as you know, we're in a price environment that is requiring innovative thoughts, creative solutions, and I'm hoping we'll have a great debate about that. So, all right, so what are some of the key rules companies and executives need to live by as they think about digitizing their business? Maybe take that one.
I'll go ahead and get started. I think it's just common sense. And you run a company, you understand what the issues are. But anywhere within any environment, you have to really. It's surprising. You just have to look at the very simplicity of it. You have to really kind of establish what it is that what it is that really makes your business run, and establish what data needs to support that. What metrics are needed essentially to gauge how you're doing, and some of those very simple things, and then prioritize them, obviously, because that's the whole point. People say we don't have enough data, or we have too much data. You hear that a lot in our energy these days. But if you look at the essence of what you really do, and look at the value that specific areas data, what are the key things that you need to have, and then establish, of course, all of the other things in regards to how the timing of it, who's responsible for it, and then from that go towards how do you get that data in, how do you have it quality data, and how can you use it best within your organization. And then one of the areas that I'm very interested in, of course, with Jive and some of the work you ladies have done, I've read up on you too, is of course people seem to forget the whole aspect of the people aspect of it, the people, the process, and not just the technology aspect of the data. And that part of planning that out is, I think, absolutely critical to the success.
So I'll add, in terms of digitizing your business, I think you started to touch on it, which is everything today can be digitized and actually should be digitized because it has a life longer than if you keep it in a drawer or put it somewhere that you can't use it later. So the beauty of digitizing your data is that it always exists for you, for trending, for understanding, for comparison purposes, and for learning. But the thing that people don't think about a lot is, well, how do I actually make this data accessible to the right people at the right time? And then what do I do with it to make decisions, to create team groups, to hit the right objectives? And so I think there's a whole new way that we need to think about digitizing our businesses, and not just process and not just the technology, but now what does that do to change our jobs? What does it do to make us more effective? And what does it do to help us be able to drive decision making that would never have been made as fast or as quickly if you didn't have access to this information? So we think about this a lot in terms of how do you create the right accessibility with the right identity. So who are you in the organization, and then what access to data should you have, and how do you make that as simple and as open as possible?
So to add a slightly different flavor of things, so I have worked in technology in and around manufacturing my entire career. And one of the things I've noticed about the digitization of business is that when you work in a capital-intensive business, so our customers buy things that cost a great deal of money, and the expectation is that they will have a life for decades. So when you're in that world, I have to say that sometimes you have to take a risk before you know exactly how you're going to use the data or commercialize the data or be able to make some kind of a business model out of it, investing in the ability to get the data so that you can do the trendings, that you can have an understanding of how that data might be useful in the future. Because one of the things that at least in a world that is capital intensive, if you can't get it out in the field, then you're not going to be able to get that data for 10, 15, 20 years until that product turns. And if you look at what's going on in the energy business, if you look at how difficult the last year and probably another year is going to be for all of us, part of what is making it sustainable for some of the customers in oil and gas, and some of my customers in oil and gas, would be that they're finding ways to make their fields far more efficient. And one of the ways they do that is using data that came from that digitization of the product. So I see it as a total life cycle on how we enable our customers and the business.
And can I just add to that, sir? I don't know, company I started, Merrick, I don't know if you know it, but about 40% of the wells in the U.S. use our technology. We're upstream. And we were the earlier ones who came out with capturing data in the field. We're known for our field data capture product. And so essentially when we did that, just to tell you, this is only we're talking about the 80s here. The 90s here. And when we went out there and started putting handhelds and things in the hands of these guys who are pumpers, people said, there's no way in hell, right? They were very skeptical. They felt that the folks could not use this technology, that they were incapable of learning it. But you look at what's happened in the world today. We put it out there, and it started with just capturing production data, pressures and water and oil readings, whatever, meter readings and stuff. And then you bring on, of course, the combined data. And then now they used it for everything. Now it's wanting more and more and more. So the world does change, and we've seen a major transformation in the industry in regards to utilization of that information.
So since I get to ask the questions, I also get to answer the questions. I have a view on this, and it's years of being in health and safety and in operational safety and operational risk for two major oil companies. Having accessibility to information across the globe is vitally important because it lowers the risk in the business. And so I think people don't understand sometimes that lack of information, lack of accessibility to information can actually create harm. And so I remember when I was at Shell and BP, I was in the knowledge management space for a number of years, a senior champion, putting together projects, and honestly, never had access to the kinds of tools I have today as a business owner through Jive. This is not a commercial for Jive, by the way, but I'm telling you that this is great stuff, okay? Because I can find what I need to find when I need to find it. And when I think about the power of how you can apply collaborative technology to a business like oil and gas that is so super critical and so super high risk, this can actually, I think, lower the risk, drive efficiency, and give the accessibility to people to information that they need in a quicker manner. And I think that's important today, particularly as we are in this current price environment. Although I think oil hit $40 yesterday, so I'm a little excited about that. Y'all are excited about that, right? So, all right. Okay, so next question. The next question is really, okay, so let's talk about the employee piece. So we know that the employee demographic is changing. How is that having an impact on the organization and this whole way of work, future of work? You guys hear that whole future of work, hashtag future of work. Let's talk a little bit about that. Maybe I'm going to toss that to you.
Sure. Everything's changed. We're going through disruption in every industry. Oil and gas, energy is no exception. Maybe right now something that's even more dramatic than other industries. But overall, the way that the world is working is also changing at the same time. I look around the room. I see a lot of experienced people. I see different, probably different age groups. To see different genders, different work probably styles on how you get your work done. How far do you live from work? How close do you live from work? What's your role? How much do you use technology? What's in the palm of your hand? Do you need to spend time at the office? Are you on the road a lot? There's all these different, and by the way, thanks for coming, because amongst all of that, it's really hard to actually get yourself physically somewhere and spend some time together. So thank you. But my point is the trends in our lifestyles on how we are working all the time in different capacities make it really hard to do traditional work. So these tools, technologies, applications, new ways to work are critical to explore, because there's no way you can get out of your day with your team, with your group, with your company what you need if you don't adjust the way that you're working. Major trends around multi-generational workforces. Of course, people learn in education and grow up differently, and that's when you develop habits. And so how do you then work side by side with people who have a different background? More and more diversity everywhere we go in the world, which means cultural implications to how you work together and what your styles are. Are you from a culture that has a very direct and open communication style versus not, or somewhere in between, et cetera, et cetera? And so how we think about it is that there's this big conversation and business around the Internet of Things. And the Internet of Things is connecting all of these things and content, in a world that we can never have access to it. Well, we think about it as the Internet of People, because it's people who have access to these things, and if people don't do anything with the Internet of Things, then you don't really get any business value from it. And so as we watch, multi-generational trends, diversity trends, trends around how people, what their expectations are for a company that they want to work for, talent wars. There's a lot of different companies just in this area that's all in the same industry. Why do you stay at one company versus go to another company when your talents and your knowledge and your experience are applicable right next door? What is it that has you have that connection and stay and build your career in that place? It's the people. It's the people that either sponsor you or that you work with or that you want to get to know better or that you're learning from. And so the world of work today, and there is this big discussion in the industry around the future of work, I actually think this disruption is happening right now. And the companies who are embracing a new way to work to give opportunity, tools, and access to their people are the companies who are truly going to create a competitive advantage. A really interesting stat just for me as I was coming in to work at Jive and I was trying to figure out, where is it that Jive is having the most impact in the world? And it was incredible to me. I know you know the Fortune's Great Place to Work list. It's one of those lists. If you're working in certain roles and executive roles, you have to be on that list at some point, and you want to be. And it's not just be on the list. It's now people want to come work for my company. It's just like, wow, that list has been vetted through a very disciplined process that says, if you want to work somewhere in the world, here are the companies that can really provide you value back because it's a two-way street. And I found that over 20% of the companies in the top categories in the Great Place to Work list were massive Jive customers. And that was my clue of, hey, it's not just about the technology. Because the reason that these companies are great places to work is because they're uniting and bringing their people together in a way that helps them feel good about getting their work done and accomplishing their goals. So I think for us, moving from the discussion in the marketplace of the Internet of Things to the Internet of People is where we want to be. Any other comments?
I think certainly that we can look at the demographic change. We can look at the globalization of our businesses and understanding how we make best use of talent all around the world. But one of the things I've really noticed, and going back to what creates that culture that makes people want to stay, which is so critical in our future success when it comes to the war on talent and making sure we have the right people in the right roles to deliver the value we need to deliver, is really accessibility of not just information, but of people as well. Is being able to use the tools, the technologies we have to make the world very small, and to get access to the people and information we need to be able to perform in our jobs today, as well as, I appreciate that sponsorship comment, is to create the relationships with the people you need to create them with to be successful today and in the future. And we all know that that's how it gets done. So regardless of how big or small the world is, the relationships that we have and the information and the knowledge we can share because of those is how we are successful. And so what I really do appreciate about the technologies that we have today is it makes it so much easier. And from a demographic perspective, those of us that have been in the market a little longer than others, we have to learn that. Versus some of these, our newer hires coming out of university right now around the world have never lived in a world where accessibility of people and information have not been part of their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a new concept for them.
Right. They're all playing catch up. Right? So